Women don't know how fiercely men love. They don't understand how loyal men are to their families. They don't understand the sacrifice, the sacrificial love that men do and that men have done over the years. They think the patriarchy is evil and out to get them and hold them down. They don't understand that it's been providing for them and protecting them all along.
Have faith in your dreams, and someday your rainbow will come smiling through. No matter how your heart is grieving, if you keep on believing, the dream that you wish will come true.
Nope, that's not the case. Sorry, ladies. Well, if you made it past that, congratulations. And sorry, but I wanted to make a point. There's an actual thing about us women sort of having this Disney mentality. And it really is. It's not really to do with the Disney company. It's the fairy tale. It's the princess. It's that things are going to have a happy ending. Why? Because they should, and because we want them to, and because we dreamt of it. And no, it's not the case. But how powerful are these messages? Clearly powerful, because, I mean, look what women believe. I mean, listen to the words. That's why I was like, we have to do that song. And I'm trying not to have the copyright thing, so maybe I won't. But anyway, hi, welcome back to Far From Eden. So yesterday's video, I had actually planned to make another video tonight, but yesterday's video about borderline personality disorder, you guys with your comments, I was just like, yeah, it's not 1%, is it? We know it's not 1% of society that's borderline. It is as one of you pointed out, it's female nature. I mean, literally, borderline personality disorder is female nature run amok. And it happens when there's a sense of abandonment, a sense of entitlement, and no rules. I feel like that's the recipe, and society stirs it up, right? And we all think we're princesses. I mean, why do you think I wanted my hair long and blonde? I mean, when I was a little girl, Sleeping Beauty, Aurora, I loved that. Of course I did. And they're friends with the animals, and they talk to the animals, and they're sweet, and they're kind of victims, aren't they? Aurora's hiding out because Maleficent wants to have her prick her finger on a spinning wheel when she turns 16. Wasn't it 16? I think it was. Interesting. And the only thing and one of the other fairies hadn't given her wish yet. See how I haven't seen this movie in forever, but I know it. And one of the fairies who hadn't given Aurora, the baby, her present yet, was able to say, well, okay, I can't undo that spell that Maleficent made for some reason in Magic World. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that her true love's kiss would wake her up from that. And the fairy still tried to, I didn't know I was going to give a story about Sleeping Beauty. I was like, here's the story about Aurora. But anyway, so the fairies take Aurora from the time that she's having her birthday, her first celebration of her being born, whatever it is, and Maleficent puts this curse on her, so they hide her away. Well, Maleficent's been looking for her and hunting for her, so she's a victim. She doesn't know it. She's just growing up in the country. She thinks she's a country girl. She's just like, these are my aunties, and I live in the country, and I don't question where are my parents, and why can't I go anywhere, talk to anybody, whatever. She's so controlled, and she doesn't know why. I think they get you. When you're a little girl, those animals are like, I I don't know, I wanted to be like that. I think I still do. I want the animals to like me the most, you know? And I guess identified with that, with Aurora. And so when I was younger, Gen X, it was Cinderella. Well, in order of coming out, I believe it's Snow White. That was the first feature film, I think, of Walt Disney. And so that was Snow White, and she was hunted by her. Notice who the villains are in these stories? They're not the men. In fact, the huntsman was ordered by the evil queen in Snow White to go and cut out her heart and bring it back. And he was like, I can't do that. That's not okay. So he went and cut out the heart of a pig and came back and presented that to the evil queen. But the magic mirror, it's magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? And magic mirror is like, sorry, but she's still prettier than you. And the evil queen in Snow White was so mad. She just couldn't be, I mean, she used to be the prettiest of them all. You know what happened? The wall. The evil queen in Snow White used to be the prettiest of them all. And then I guess Snow White aged up something. And the evil queen wasn't the prettiest of them all. And because of that, she wanted to kill Snow White. And we were all like, yeah, sounds right. We were like, nobody was like, what? Like, that's the reason? Wow, seems a little petty. Wow, you're pretty shallow. Wow, you're pretty dang violent. I mean, I'm watching a movie when I'm little where this woman is ordering this guy to go cut someone's heart out and show it to her. But because it had the woodland creatures and the singing, what was her song? It was, someday my prince will come. Except she had a really high voice. And it was just, it's always the message that it'll just happen. It's that manifesting thing. Like if I just believe it and think it, it shall be. And there's no foundation to that. And this is a reason that men and women really don't know each other at all. Women don't know how fiercely men love. They don't understand how loyal men are to their families. They don't understand the sacrifice, the sacrificial love that men do and that men have done over the years. They think the patriarchy is evil and out to get them and hold them down. They don't understand that it's been providing for them and protecting them all along. So, they watch these movies and they think that everything they want will come to pass. And this is what I find. Men are like, but how or why? And I'm like, I can't answer that because there isn't a how or a why. It just is. And I swear, circuits in men's brains like throw sparks when I say this. Because yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And it seems crazy. And it is, because you're comparing, like I said, we don't know one another and we've been told we're equal, we're the same, we just have different body parts. But that's not where it ends. And it doesn't end with hormones like, well, I can carry a baby and he can't. It's so much more than that. And remember that men are from Mars, women are from Venus book? I mean, he barely scratched the surface. He really, I think the only point he made was, hey, we're really different. But, you know, you can't come out and say how, because women take it as an insult. And it's not meant to be an insult, because with this attitude of all is well and all will be well, and let's be joyous. It's not a bad thing to have when you are maternal and nurturing under the authority of a man, under the protection of a man. Women can be those things, and we're good at those things in that environment. When you have that loving, I'm trying to like sort of put on that effect, like, hello, it's loving, it's sweet, it's positive. That's what the man wants to come home to. He doesn't want to come home to a grump that's like, yep, well, we're watching the world burn and heard some other bad news today. And he does not want a nihilistic wife. He doesn't. He goes out and works all day and does that for his family, not for the glory of having a job. And yeah, he's just so happy to be a wage slave. And it's important that the children and the husband have a woman who's positive. And God gave us an ability to be positive when we shouldn't be. And that's a good thing for the children and for the husband. But it's not a good thing just out in the world, because it's not reality. It's not practical. You can't make big decisions based on that, because that's not reality. But it works within a certain context. So it's like many things about women. It's not a bad thing when it's in the right place. Like our ability to be sexy and seductive and that kind of thing. We do have that ability. We have the ability to be that way. You guys know what I'm talking about. And that's good when you have a husband and you want to keep things fresh and you want him to feel desired. These are good skills. They have been perverted by the sexual revolution. It's such a dumb word, revolution. The liberation, like, no. It's all been perverted, all of it. The women's skills and attributes have all changed to things that are character flaws because of the results they produce in the world. When, you know what, let's think about that again. The female traits and female nature can be good when it's within the family and it's constrained to the family. When it's out in the world, it does not belong, because it is not a way to shape your mind to make big decisions. This is why women are in so much more debt than men are, because we think, well, I really think that I should get that. I think I should do that, or I should go on that trip, or whatever. And we justify it, and we know it's okay. I can pay it off because I have this job and it's going great and it'll be good. And you're like, based on what? And it's just, it's based on feelings. And so this is what's out of control. I hope this makes, I mean, I know it doesn't make sense because you're still like, but how do they not know this? How do these women not realize? I know. I'm like, me too. I have that. I ask myself, like, how did I not realize sometimes when I'd make a decision and be like, I just had this, here's the thing. We don't go, you know what? It's all going to be okay because I deserve it. Most of us don't think that consciously. Most of us aren't out there going, I'm going to manifest it. Most of us aren't even saying that out loud. We don't even know that's how our brain operates. We think we're making logical decisions based on sound facts. We really do. And that's embarrassing because it's not the case. We would not be in all this debt and make all these bad decisions if it was based on, reality, facts, all those sort of pesky things that tell you no. We don't like that word. You know who else doesn't like that word? Children. And it's very confusing why women will seem to say they think one thing and then go and do another. And it's because we can literally have a conversation with somebody, agree with them that we think, yeah, this is probably not the best thing, and then do it. And it doesn't make sense to men because it doesn't make sense. But there are feelings involved, and women are more agreeable. And I know you're like, not the ones I've met. True. Not in the way you want them to be, but in the way that's evasive. And what I mean by that is if you're having a conversation with a woman and she's just agreeing with you, she doesn't want to have a fight. She knows she can't back it up. So she's just going to kind of go along with what you say, go, yeah, and then just completely keep behaving another way. We can do that. Why would men go, yeah, I can see why women would sort of think this thing and then do another thing that's completely different? And I'm like, they do that all the time. And they don't see a problem with it. And look, we shouldn't be making big decisions. And the facts are out there. The debt, the degrees that mean nothing, the filing for divorce and then regretting it and sleeping with all these men and getting pregnant. Like, we just cannot, we shouldn't. We are children, okay? And I realized, like, oh, this is a big problem with how all men view women. And this has been because we are told that we're just the same, but with different parts. We're like, just different parts. Just different plumbing, no big deal. Just one carries a baby and one doesn't. You're expecting too much. Would you get angry at a 5-year-old for acting like a 5-year-old? I hope not. Would you get angry at a 5-year-old for, having a little meltdown when they're exhausted? No, because in your mind, you're like, well, it's a 5-year-old. I'm going to correct the 5-year-old and be like, this is not the way we behave. You're very tired. That's not very nice. You would gently correct, but you're not angry, like, oh my God, how dare you? And who do you, you're not going to do that because it's a 5-year-old. Your expectations of them is that they're a 5-year-old, and you know that they're only capable of 5-year-old things and 5-year-old behavior, right? See where I'm going with this? There was a time that men understood what women were. There was a time when this is going to sound horrible. There was a time when men would be like, she's just a woman. And I get why they were like, I don't think she needs to read that. I don't think she needs to know that. Because that's going to take her mind places that it doesn't need to go. Don't you worry your pretty little head about it. That's not an insult. That's to keep you from having to know all this BS in the world, all the pain and suffering and the horrible things people do to each other, the violence. We're not made for that kind of information. And yet you have women watching all these murder things like Dateline, and they're not cut out to handle all of that. It's why, of course they watch all those crime things where the man is murdering the woman. It's like a true crime story. They're addicted to that. It's like they love it. And they identify with those victims, and the man is the perpetrator, and they think they're just watching something, but they're absorbing it. And it's painting this narrative of who the characters are. And the woman's the victim and the man's the predator, and it's just, they absorb it. They don't need to have that in their mind. It poisons them. You wouldn't show that to an 8-year-old, because what would it do? How would it change them? Why isn't it appropriate? We need to understand that there's man, woman, child. God, man, woman, child. And women are generally not as smart as men in the ways that men are smart. Women are suited for a specific role. It's a very important role. It's needed. It's valuable. They have all the skills and abilities to do it under the authority of a man, the protection and the provision of the man. And in that scenario, the woman has a lot to give. They have value then. Not just sex, but actual value of raising his offspring, of cooking his food, of taking care of him when he is sick, of encouraging him. The love of a woman, the respect and appreciation she gives you, not love, women don't really love, but when she respects him, loves him, looks up to him, admires him, teaches his kids to do the same, that's valuable to a man. I know there are a lot of MRAs that are like, I don't want some wife that doesn't work, because they don't see the value in who a real mother is or who a real wife is. And I think it's because, they've never seen one. They really don't think that exists, and they can't imagine it, what it would be and how it would add to their lives, and they're angry. They're pretty angry people. They just want women to be men with different parts. And I don't see how that's different from a feminist. But the way women are, we are like children. And we do need to be protected from things in society, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. We do need that. And when it doesn't serve anyone for men to expect women to have the same sort of moral strength and character under pressure and in society that men do. We don't have it. And if you think that is just my opinion for anybody stopping through, I would encourage you to look around. I would encourage you to read the comments of all the men who watch this channel. There is a problem. There is a crisis. Women do not belong just running loose in society. We can't handle it. We can't. We're not made for it. We're not. And you know what? For hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years, men knew this. For thousands of years, societies were ordered in such a way that the woman depended on the man, and that's a good thing because it keeps her in a role where she can thrive. And all the indoctrination has led us to believe that is control, and they're chained to the kitchen, and they're miserable, and they're abused, and that's all a lie. It's a lie. I have never heard anybody's stories about their grandmother with It's a lie. It's a lie in this society. Now, uh-oh, my brain just went somewhere. Let's see, how will I say this? Let me be careful on YouTube. All right. When a woman, once upon a time, it's a different kind of fairy tale. Once upon a time, when a woman would get out of line, start acting out, a little bit like a child would, the man's job was to put her in her place. Sometimes it would be slightly physical, not in a harming way, not bruises, but in a way that's like, look, I'm above you. And I don't know if y'all know this, but fun fact, there was something called hysteria when the woman would become hysterical, and sometimes they were sent to the doctor, and the doctor did a little doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and she had a big O, and she went home calm. I don't know, husband couldn't do it, I don't know, but that was a treatment at a doctor's office for a hysterical woman, which I think is pretty dang funny. And I just said that as like an aside, like we can talk about that another time, but they dealt with it. And if women had been terribly unhappy, they wouldn't have raised good children at all. It wouldn't work. You can't just be aggressive and dominating the women and have them be horribly abused and unhappy and have a thriving society. So the fact that our society thrived is proof that that was never a thing. It's just never a thing. Of course there's a bad one here and there. Of course there is. But the physicality of, you know, a little bit of some kind of discipline. Now, before you go freaking out, if any women are on here, anybody remember 50 Shades of Grey? Anybody remember how much women loved that? You know why? You know why? Because women know that it's the right way. If they are out of line, they know that it really shouldn't be. I mean, who's telling women to knock it off when they're out of control? I mean, the government and police tell men. The police kind of tell women. We've seen the DUI videos. It's really, really lax. It's like her charges were dropped. And they like, you know, she gets away with everything. So nobody is. Well, the men used to. And then all of a sudden, you know, somebody in power thought, you know, I think it would behoove us if the women folk voted, because they're very easy to persuade. And they were like, hey, women, don't you want to get out of the house? And don't you want to be important like men? And dummies were like, yeah. And it took no time, but for thousands of years, women were in their place. They were. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, 100, 200 years ago, 1850s, whatever, women started getting uppity and taking that forbidden fruit yet again. And it's like nobody acknowledges how things were before that. And nobody acknowledges that men used to know that women were women and that you couldn't expect from them what you would expect from a man. They just didn't. So they didn't even get mad. They just set the boundaries. They just, you know, maintain the order in their household in a stoic way. This is not how our household runs. This is not going to be how it is in our house. And it was, you know, women are very comfortable with those parameters. Why do you think they love government so much? I mean, dang, you know, there's not a law that women don't love. They used to have that from their husbands. They like those boundaries and walls. It makes us feel safe. I'm telling you the truth. So basically tonight, I just wanted to come on here and be like, honestly, in your marriages that you had, you were expecting of her sort of reciprocity like she was a man. And society sort of expects that, and women have meltdowns. And you weren't able to run your household the way you saw fit. You'd be arrested. You know, it would be used against you if you were even authoritative in any way, even as an equal. So that sort of knocked down the gate. I'm going to use a horse analogy. That knocked down the gate and just let him run out wild. And I'll tell you, horses do much better domestically than they do in the wild. Because if I turn the horses loose that I work with, they're going to be killed right away. They don't know anything. They break legs. I mean, it's, you know, it's not a, it's, and it's like my dog. She wants to go outside and run loose, and she has no idea the scary stuff that's out there. It's like you got to keep your kid from running across the street. They don't understand. These cars are going by and don't see you. And that is how women are. And yet we have let them loose in the world, And they're like kids playing in the freeway. And if you don't believe me, look around and compare it and stop with the, well, you know, back in the 1950s, women were all abused. It's just not true. It's just not. We would not have, the society wouldn't be flourishing back then with that. And look how it is now. And that is the reason. It's 100% the reason. And it's the reason the men are becoming nihilistic. Because there are no more women. We are not women when we are running loose. We're not in our role. And a problem is that we are not the same as men. We are not equal to men like that. We are supposed to be in a certain role, and you guys, it's not a get out of jail free pass. It doesn't mean we get to do whatever we want at all. Just like kids. Kids don't get to do whatever they want, right? But you don't expect from them what you would expect from like your fellow man. And there's a level of that you need with women that we don't acknowledge. And that's my whole point. Because they are children believing in fairy tales. And that's okay if it's in the right context. So I just wanted to add on a little bit after our borderline discussion and talk a little bit about that, because you put that together with borderline, whoo, buddy, I think you have an explanation for a lot of what you guys have been through. That's my best way to explain that. And yeah. So anyway, I look forward to your comments and questions, because this should be good. I really want to know what you guys think. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. I want you guys to take care of yourselves, okay? Remember, there are options. There's MGTOW Monk. Go get that cabin. Go get that awesome dog who appreciates you, loves you, hangs out with you, right? Or you're like, I really want the family, I want the kids. Passport, bro, man. Go find a country where feminism hasn't poisoned it. Find yourself a little woman who smiles at you, depends on you, appreciates you, respects you, and do it, all right? It's a better option than, you know, what so many men are doing. Anyway, take care. I love you guys.